Hello, I'm Dr. Barbara Porso, and I'm the director for the Center for Professional Accounting Practices at the Gabelli School of Business. This is a special initiative that my center has begun called A Professional in Practice. And I have the great privilege to introduce our guest speaker, Ed Strohs. Ed Strohs is one of the most esteemed members of our alumni, and I consider him a good friend. Let me tell you a little bit about Ed. He's remarkable. He is a native New Yorker and a graduate of the Gabelli School of Business. His BS, like mine, is in accounting, and he graduated in the late 70s. Ed had a remarkable career as he continues to contribute to an area that was so needed for guidance. Ed worked as a bank examiner and then an auditor for Deloitte, where he became a CPA. And in 1984, he became a special agent with the FBI and specialized in white-collar crime investigations for New York and West Texas. And then in 2000, Ed formed his own company. He left the government and started a computer forensic and cybersecurity firm called Strohs Friedberg. That company grew to over 500 employees, 14 offices worldwide. Remarkable. That's Ed. And in 2016, he sold his company to Aon and is now the co-president of Aon Cyber Solutions. Do you know that Ed has a Harvard business case about his company? And he is a guest speaker in some of the most prestigious schools in the world. Harvard University, Carnegie Mellon, oh, and yes, Fordham University, his alma mater. It is with great pride and enthusiasm I introduce you to our guest speaker, Ed Strohs. I know you're going to enjoy this.
My name is Edward Strohs, and this video is being made for Fordham University, Gabelli School of Business. The topic is to discuss advice for students now who will be graduating in a general advisory kind of way based on my experience. So I will speak, and I assume this video will be edited, and if anybody has any questions, you can certainly come to me. So it is a hot, sweaty day in New York City in August, like many days when I was a student at Fordham. I graduated from what is now Gabelli in 1979. I was the first in my family to go to college, and I was a commuter and worked while I was going to school and graduated with a degree in accounting. From that point, I became a bank examiner, an auditor for what was then one of the big eight, now one of the big four, and became an auditor in the New York office. In 1984, I joined the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and became an FBI agent working in Texas and in New York City, and specialized in white-collar crime. Used my expertise as an accountant and experience as a bank examiner to be able to investigate cases involving matters of intent and white-collar crime. What I'm going to try to do today is speak to you as students and say, what do I wish somebody had said to me if I were a student and were thinking about my postgraduate career, whether you're an undergraduate or a graduate student. So here's what I have to say, and you can decide how useful it is to you. So first of all, if you're focusing on your next job, you're probably thinking about your grade point average, you're thinking about Fordham University and Gabelli, you're thinking about how it compares to other students in other schools, and that's normal. Just realize this, when you're being interviewed, the company who's interviewing you is looking to interview you as an individual, you as a person, and your grade point average and the school you went to and what you majored in is all important. It's largely a screening mechanism, though. The key thing is, will you add value as a professional and as a person to their company? So if you think about the fact that I've got both experience in government, which was very people intensive, and when I started my own business, which I did after I left the FBI in 2000, I focused on computer forensics and cybersecurity. It was just me. I had no investors. I just worked on being the best I could be in this new field of digital evidence and being able to speak mostly to lawyers about how to think about that digital evidence and how it was really going to be a game changer in society. As time went on, we grew. I went from one person to the point where I sold my company about 4 years ago to about 550 people. I sold it to Aon, and it is now what was my company called, it was called Strauss Friedberg, is now called Aon Cyber Solutions. So what I'm going to try to do is convey to you what I think you should keep in mind when you're interviewing and preparing for your next job. And if you're wondering, well, why should you listen to me? Just realize I've done a lot of interviews in my life. I've also hired a lot of people. And my firm had to be hired by my clients, and then ultimately I sold my company. So in those experiences, I would condense it down to this. First of all, keep in mind when you go into an interview, you only get one chance to create a first impression with the interviewer. And you have to go in there confident and at ease, because you as a human being are going to have to fit into their organization. And by going in there with confidence, you want to be able to show that you have a sincere interest in helping their company. Make your conversation about how you are going to help them. And you can refer to yourself, but refer to yourself as it will relate to them. Show that you are there to be able to add value to their company. And refer to a couple of things. First of all, you're very proud of the fact that you were able to successfully complete the course of study at Fordham, which is not easy. Secondly, Fordham, being the Jesuit University of New York, is in New York City, one of the most important things we can talk about. Very few people can hack it in New York City, as a student, as an employee, as an actor, whatever it might be. And you can talk about the diversity of the city, the diversity of the student body that you met. Whatever you have done, remind them that you as an individual are going to be so much more powerful and effective for them because you draw on the richness of New York City in learning how to convey your expertise and your talents. You want to show yourself you will be hardworking, also loyal, and they can trust you. Why? Because you have found how important those values are in life. You probably came from your family. You continued with Fordham, and it's the kind of thing that you are going to be proud to add to their company and be able to help them. So I would say the specifics you bring up are going to depend on the kind of company you're interviewing with. If it's an accounting firm, you'll be able to talk to them about which aspect of that accounting firm you're going to be going into, whether it's audit or tax or some type of advisory service, and specifically talk about the importance also of you will assess and fit in, make it a point to fit into the culture of that company. And you can say that specifically. Say, look, culture is very important in a quality organization such as yours. And I pride myself on being user-friendly, on being able to fit with other quality people, and to understand how things are done there. And each day that goes by, you learn a little bit more about the people, the culture, how things are arranged, and you will use what you learn to get the best fit possible and be able to be the most productive employee you can be, and thereby be quite a valuable asset to that company. And I would say use the word I and me less than you, because I think it's a temptation, especially when people are going, let's say, for their first job, to talk about I and me, what I want and what I want to get and what I'm looking for. I'm not saying don't do any of that, but I'm saying don't make it only about that. Talk about who you are, what you offer, and how what you offer is going to be most valuable in a company such as yours, which whoever you're interviewing with, that values those types of qualities and will line up very nicely with what you were trying to do with your career, which is move it forward responsibly and be the kind of person that the other people in the company want to work with and want to check with when they have a question. So I hope that's helpful to you. I wish you all the luck in the world. And I think as a Fordham student, with the background that you have a lot of cards to play that are wonderful. Use them, be confident in yourself, and make the interviewer feel that the impression that you left with them was one that makes them want to come back and speak with you again and make you an offer. Thanks.